Welcome everybody to Robbs MetalWorks. We are here on a Saturday night at the end of 2018. Yes, what a glorious way to end out the year, continuing to support the best in Texas metal. And I have with me the band from Corpus Christi, the band you've heard me talk about for the last several weeks. They are called Fall. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having
David, Daniel,
Thanks for having us, bro. Love to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me out.
Oh, God. You know, I've been a fan of the EP now for quite some time. And thank you, whoever out there sent it to me. I got it. And I was listening to it. And Jesse, you know, man, you know, you're such a subtle kind of passive individual. And you know, you don't ever like to boast about what you're doing. But, man, I'm glad that I got to hear your new music. And I really fell in love with it. And there's going to be people tonight who are for the first time hearing about the band Fall. And I told you tonight off camera, I was like, man, I didn't know the band had been around for so long. So talk a little bit about what you're doing with Fall, because I think most people know you from Shattered Sun, but yet you've been doing your own thing for quite some time.
Yeah, well, Fall's had its ebbs and flows for sure. It started back in 2010 as like a solo project initially, but I wanted to make it like a live band thing. I wanted to make it like I wanted it to be more than just me, basically, you know, and it's had its ups and downs for sure, and it's been a thing for like about 9 years. Come this January, wow. And we've had an album, we've had EPs, and this recent EP is like the latest thing we've done together as a band, and it's really cool to like finally do something together as like a whole piece, you know.
We'll talk about The Dreamer of Tragedy, which is the new EP. Now, as I was telling you too, like I was like, man, I've kind of seen like a little evolution from the band, because the first record, or the first kind of EP, was called The Insatiable Weakness, and it was kind of like a really heavy, brutal thing. But now The Dreamer of Tragedy has seemed to kind of like evolve into this kind of more like melodramatic, really technical thing musically, but yet transitioning from something melodramatic and technical into something heavy. And I really dig it. I mean, it's like you guys are implementing so much more. So talk a little bit about what you're delivering musically, or what was the plan to deliver musically?
Yes, for sure. Well, with the first album, The Insatiable Weakness, it was more of just me, like writing riffs throughout, just like sessions of, oh, this riff is cool. I'll turn this into a song, and so on and so forth. And that was basically like the basis of what The Insatiable Weakness was. It was just a bunch of ideas that I came up with by myself.
So that was primarily like kind of the Jessie Santos thingy.
Yeah, pretty much. And I gained David and Daniel throughout like the evolution of Fall, and we always jam and stuff. So we started making music together, and like the first riff to Ascend was something that like Daniel came up with, and it was really cool to finally like write something together, you know.
With The Dreamer of Tragedy, you know, one of the first things I noticed was that it wasn't just a Jessie Santos thing, because I could hear like Daniel's guitar playing in there and his solo work, and I could hear what David was doing on the bass. It was like a very comprehensive thing. How difficult was it to kind of find these guys in a place like Corpus? I mean, I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the Corpus metal scene is not something really, really big. I mean, I don't know. I mean, am I wrong?
Actually, there's a lot of sick guitar players in Corpus, dude. Like, really good guitar players, man. So we're all kind of, like, inspired by each other. And, I mean...
And you're like, Daniel, I'm one of them.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've known Jesse for a long time now. And, I mean, we started jamming, like, in high school, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, like, yeah, so, like, way back then, because, like, I used to play in a band called Demise.
We go way back, man.
Melodic death metal, and then I knew he played guitar, so... Yeah, just being in high school, we jammed together, and, like, I remember him showing me some riffs back then, and, like, one of the riffs was, I think, ended up being To Dust.
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah, that way back, you know, and then, so we always been in contact as friends and stuff, and I think one day I just hit you up and was like, hey, man, you ever need like a backup rhythm guitar player, like I was cool with just being like playing in the background, kind of like, you know, them doing their thing, you know. So yeah.
And I was like, no, man, I want you to be a member of the band.
Yeah, so it was cool.
Yeah,
you know?
so
I just wanted to get out there and play more, and then linking up with Jessie, and then we definitely formed like a pretty strong unit. I would feel like the three of us now at our core like have a really good foundation.
And I want people out there to understand too, and to know that, you know, we know Jesse's a lead player, but you know that you're not just a rhythm player; you're a lead player too.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I would say so, man. I mean, definitely like try to be both. You know, I mean, definitely like rhythm is where it's at and stuff. But like, I feel like lead playing, I was always like gravitated toward that as a kid. Like hearing like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and like those licks, and like, oh my god, I want to play that. Yeah. So like, I always wanted to like learn how to play lead as like at an early age. So I think just kind of like my practicing, like going up through the years, like doing both, really like kind of helped me out to where I'm at, you know, now. So we can definitely like add more to the table.
So obviously, like fall is kind of, you know, transition. We all grow and to be bigger and grander. And so Jessie, like with the addition of Daniel and David, it kind of seems like you guys have evolved into something different. And if someone said to you, like, what are you delivering now with fall? What do you say?
I say we deliver our own, like a brand of metal, I think. I like to believe, because at first we tried to fit that melodic death metal brand, you know. But with this new stuff on the Dreamer Tragedy, we wanted to bring in like more atmospheric, more melodic, more melancholic type things, you know, pieces of music that fit like the spaces in the breaks, you know. And I think that's really important. Instead of going from riff to riff to riff to riff to riff, I think focusing on those breaks is what made this EP a lot stronger.
I like to call them interludes. They're like these like beautiful fucking melodic interludes, and I really dig it.
Those are the best ones to write.
And you know, David, it's always easy to focus on guitar players too, but man, I hear your bass playing in there, and like again, you're doing your own thing too. So, like, kind of working with these guys, you're like the odd man out because you're the bass player. What has it kind of been like, you know, contributing your own vibe? And I think fall, because I've heard the Insatiable Weakness, and it's a totally different record than what you guys are delivering now.
Well, I feel like Jessie sometimes acts like a bass player. He's real rhythm heavy. So when me and him write something together, the bass line is kind of already there. It's just me adding my own touch to it. But as far as like being out there and everything, I take a lot of inspiration from like the greats like Geddy Lee and you know, your typical Iron Maiden guys. But I really like to focus on a lot of rhythm and locking in with the drums and just being a tight unit with the drums. And I think me being on the bottom end of things gives a lot more spotlight to like Jessie and Daniel to do their leads or vocals or something, keyboards and everything. So I like to hold it down in the bottom in the rhythm section.
There were some parts like on the new EP, you know, where we came up with the guitars and we're kind of like with a question mark. Okay, what's the bass gonna do? Like especially in like that riff on Air to Silence, and you ended up coming up with a really good bass line that like follows the riff. You know what I mean? So it's like it's definitely like holding it down while the guitar is able to do some more like voicings and things. So that line you came up with was really cool.
Yeah, it was very fun writing. Yeah. So
what would you say, like, if you have to think, when you think about the Insatiable Weakness and you think about this new record, what's the biggest difference?
The biggest difference is that we wrote as a band on this new stuff, rather than me just writing everything and showing the guys like what to play on like what was on the last record and stuff. It's just I believe these new 4 songs sound better because we wrote them as a band.
Yeah.
I think the speed of them as well too. Like the first one's like fast as hell, dude.
It feels more controlled for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think it's definitely more of a listening journey too.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like there's definitely gonna be like those bands that just want to hear us play the heavy, brutal stuff, you know. And then I feel like it's cool to have like this catalog, you know, that we're gonna keep growing, and we're able to like kind of pick songs from our hat, you know, and we can like kind of cater to like a wider audience, you know. And we want to do that. This new EP is definitely like, you know, more of a listening journey and an experience that kind of like starts you from the first track all the way to the end. You know, I would say it's like they all go together.
You guys recorded this record a year ago at Southwing Audio in Houston. It's been a little while now. Why did it take so long to get out?
Well, the whole release has been self-funded and all that stuff. We do everything ourselves, and that plus like the time it takes to like mix the songs and all that stuff, and we needed it mastered too. Finding the right person to master the songs, we got Mark Lewis of he was formerly from Audio Hammer to master the EP. I'm good friends with him and stuff, and he said he'd do it, and I know he has a good ear for us because he knows what I do.
Mark Lewis went to Houston?
No, he did it from his own.
In Florida.
Yes, he's in Nashville now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I know about Mark Lewis, and I know about how grand he is and what he does as an engineer. He's in Nashville now. He left. Did he leave Audio Hammer?
I think he's doing his own thing now. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what the recording experience was in Houston.
It was awesome. It was a week of just focusing on solely just the music and only the music, and we would track for like 12 hours out of the day, and then hang out for maybe like 2 or 4 after that, just to wind down and then go to sleep. Wake up after, and then get back to work. You know.
Yeah.
And Southwing Audio, that's the name of the studio. Southwing Audio. It's a team of 3 guys, and they know what the fuck they're doing. Like straight up, we wouldn't have gotten 4 songs like this done in a week nowhere else. These guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's a great place, man.
So when we first got there, we like scoped it out the first time. You know, they invited us over to check out the studio, and it was kind of like we're kind of still kind of iffy on everything. Like, should we go there? Should we do it there? But as soon as I saw that they had like a popcorn machine and like they had like a huge coffee pot, I was like, I made the decision then and there to, you know, maybe pitch it to the guys, like maybe we should do this here, you know. So
it was nice, man. Oh yeah, just like touching up on that, man. The whole recording process was just super sweet. Like besides being bandmates, we're like really, you know, close friends, and we have all these inside jokes and just laugh at the stupidest shit. So it's like being together for a week was awesome. And even Lorenzo, our drummer, you know, he's like a close friend of ours there. He's like the 4th unit, so him being there was also like a big, awesome, just creative influence. And then I will say this, because we had all the songs done pre-pro, right? So like going in there, we already like had them all mapped out and ready to go. But the studio experience was just awesome, man, because like you get to experiment. So we were like experimenting with different guitars. And when he said like the guys really know like their shit, they do, because like they would recommend like, oh, try this pedal, or like, you know, try this guitar for this part. So we ended up using a lot of different guitars on the record and a lot of different pedals, you know, reverbs and stuff like that. So it was really like cool being able to experiment. And so like we had it pre-pro'd, but being in there also sparked, I would say, like new ideas coming from all the gear and stuff, you know. So that was really cool.
And I heard that there's 4 tracks on the EP, but I heard there was a 5th track recorded.
The infamous 5th track, we named it Tears and Rain after the famous Blade Runner quote. It's a really cool track. It's technical as fuck. It's very mellow death. But we
a lot of stuff in
it has a lot of stuff in it.
very death metal.
But we couldn't do it in the time that we had at Southwing. So we planned to release it as a single. Hopefully later in next year, probably like February, March, you know. Yeah. And be on the lookout for that, because that is a killer track.
Nice.
And you will enjoy it.
I would say also this it's like a totally different track than like what the rest of the EP was. So I think another decision was like, should we want to like focus on these 4 songs, you know, while we're in the studio, or do we want to try to like add this other one that's kind of like different, you know? So
Why, Daniel? Why do you say it's different, Daniel?
yeah. Why is this different? Well, I would say like it's definitely like the other songs, the 4 ones are more ambient, atmospheric. Yeah, definitely. And this one's more kind of like melodic death metal, but then like heavy, and it just has like some brutal like parts, like death metal influence and stuff. So it's
Responsible for.
I would just say it's like definitely like a separate thing from the EP. So we realize that too.
I've noticed that also too. That I know you guys have been sending the EP out. It's getting some press. It's getting some acclaim, not only across the country but around the world. I saw the press release from Brazil. So talk a little bit about what the reception has been like from what you guys have been seeing so far.
It's been cool. Really cool. Like we received interviews from Italy, France, South America, and even of course in the U.S. too. And they've all liked what they've heard, and I've noticed that like I know we've only provided 4 songs for this EP. They're like, we want to hear more. We want to hear what else this band has to offer.
Right.
And it like makes it makes you want to keep giving them more music.
Yeah.
It keeps the driving force strong for sure.
That's
Definitely.
where that other song comes in. Is maybe we'll
Yeah.
follow up with that
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
one.
Definitely, yeah.
And as you guys have graduated from the Insatiable Weakness to the Dream of Tragedy, you will continue to evolve and be more powerful and intricate in what you're delivering musically. One of the things cool that I found interesting too is like the cover art. I thought that was really cool. The lady, the little, what is that? Talk about that.
Infamous.
I love Instagram. First off, okay, and
Basic.
There
It's
you go.
basic.
Instagram sponsors this guy.
I follow a
I
bunch.
love this.
I follow a bunch of artists on there and stuff, and one of the artists I follow is Andy Soto. Andy Soto, she's an artist from Panama, and I followed her page for like about a year and a half prior to her. She made a post about her doing commission work and stuff.
Yeah.
So I saw that. I'm like, I got on that shit instantly, And I told her I was looking for album art for fall, for the EP, and I sent her like ideas that I had in my head and like lyrics and all that stuff, and she totally dug it, and we collaborated, and the Dreamer Tragedy EP art is the product of that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I like it because it's kind of like, to me, it's like the female serenity, and it kind of reflects to me like the serenity of the music too. The record will drop for all you people out there who are watching this interview tonight. The record will drop on December 21st. The band is called Fall. The record is called The Dreamer of Tragedy. Be sure to look for it on all your social music media outlets out there. 4 tracks, Beautimus. Be sure to pick it up. Robbs MetalWorks says it is beautiful, and I love it too, man. The first single is called Heir to Silence. God, I love that track. I love all of them, actually. I think I said earlier which was my favorite, but Heir to Silence was the first single, and you guys released a lyric video for that. It was very cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Heir to Silence was a collaboration between actually all of us, actually. But Daniel being the like the main guy behind that, he came up with like the skeleton of the song, and we kind of added in our own input between it.
It's kind of cool, like the point now where we're at with the writing, because like we can kind of like come up with like riffs and like just instantly like share with each other. So I would say that's how this one and a lot of them started off with, man. Because like, to be honest, I was at Wings and More with my wife, right? And afterwards, like, I had this riff in my head. It's just like, I mean, you guitar players know out there when you get this riff in your head. So it's like you just got to go home and like play it right away or track it or something. So like driving home, I had this riff in my head, and then as soon as we got home, I mean, I was like pulling into the driveway, like I got to get in there and track this riff. So it ended up
Before you lost it.
Yeah, exactly. It ended up being it ended up being that riff, man, the clean intro. So I sent it to this guy and Dave as well, and the song just built up from there, really. Because getting together, we were able to like map out stuff and try stuff, and we do all the pre-pro at my place, so we're able to like change stuff, like oh, let's try this, or how about this part after that. So
it was a really cool process. I think Air to Silence was like the first true full band collaboration for Fall.
Like the first full vision of the new band.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. From what Daniel told you, from us like going in there and like listening to what he like came up with, and like, oh shit, this is like some really cool riffs, man. And let's make this into a song and see what happens. And that's the product of Air to Silence. Pretty much.
You guys have I've seen that you guys have stayed busy. You do some sporadic shows. I know that you guys have a big show coming up January 5th at the House of Rock in Corpus. The holidays are upon us now as we enter Christmas. What do you guys foresee? What do you want to do for 2019?
2019, we want to be more active in the live forefront for sure. We want to release that song we were talking about earlier, Tears and Rain, as a single. And we also want to work on the second EP, which is something we want it to be the polar opposite of what the Dreamer Tragedy is. Yeah. We want it to be something darker, more heavier, more evil. We want to showcase like we can
how light we can be, how heavy we can be,
like
our duality basically. We want to like we can do this, we can do that.
Exactly. Like I said earlier, the whole catalog, just when you get to the live show, we want to be able to play different stuff from our, background catalog. So it'd be cool. On the new EP, we discussed how we're going to like kind of just transition from this, last EP we did to something just different. And I think that's the part of the maturity of the band too. Just like pushing our envelope, trying to get better with each release, not trying to just stick to one genre or like trying to I think we just kind of write what comes out, man. Yeah. Especially on this EP,
I think that's intriguing and both interesting because for music fans, they can get stagnated by about, what a band is doing, and to see the versatility of the musicians in the band. Yeah, like I can do beautiful stuff, melodic stuff, but I can also be like very brutal and ugly and dirty. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, and I love that, man. I love to see that in musicians because it shows, because we all have a gamut of feelings and interpretations in our lives, some beautiful and some ugly, and it's great to see you tapping into a little bit of all of that. So. The single might come out in the spring. You guys are going to want to do some shows. Has there been any discussions about, hey, like, because Jessie, obviously, Shattered Sun is a signed band. Has there been any, like, have you tried to kind of network, fall into any of those kind of commercial kind of connections?
Of course, yes. I've always made apparent that I'm in two bands. And that Fall is like my baby, it's the product of what I envision like my music to be. I want it to coexist. I want it to be a part of what I do and what I am, and I'm gonna keep pushing Fall for as long as I can.
I think this is none better time. You got a couple of great fucking dudes with you, man.
Yeah, man. These guys are die fucking hard, straight up, man, straight up. Warriors. And I couldn't ask for better bandmates. Yeah. Straight up, Yeah.
We were supposed to do the interview last week, and you said, Rob, I am not doing the interview without David. And I was like, what the? I'm like, David, the bass player? To me, that's a huge sign of respect. And it's like, I'm not doing it without my other band member.
Of course, no. Doing like, he's my band member. He's my friend. Yeah.
We've been together for how long has it been already?
He's one of my closest friends, and he's been my friend for a very, very long time. And he was there for the first fall EP.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2008.
Yeah.
Almost that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So he's my boy, okay? And yeah.
Yeah, it's like life happens and work happens, and you know sometimes some of us, I know in Shattered Sun a lot of the guys have kids. I have a daughter and stuff.
Yeah, he has
So so yeah, life kind of gets in the way. I'm sure people can understand. But I'm glad to be here today with you guys. And
I wouldn't have done this without him. I wouldn't have done this without Daniel. I wouldn't. So yeah,
it's all or nothing sometimes,
Let's talk a little bit as we get near to the end of this interview. Let's talk about a couple of other things that are kind of notable about the band. First of all, I heard the Insatiable Weakness EP, but it came to my attention that Dirk from Megadeth played the drums on that record. Is that true?
Yes, that is very true, and he will attest to that. Dirk Verburen, we love you to death. Each of us can attest to that. Dude, yes, he is a great drummer.
How the fuck did that happen?
Well, on the first fall EP, Bjorn, the singer from Solo Work, did guest vocals on the first fall EP.
Yep.
And
so this was when Dirk was still part of Soilwork.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like that kind of like was like the beginning of a chain of events that led to that happening and stuff. And
now Dirk's with Megadeth.
And like led to like this friendship with him.
Yeah.
That is still a thing.
I keep telling everybody that I fucking interviewed, this business is all about relationships.
Yeah, it is.
Some people don't fucking get it.
It totally is. And yeah.
Come give me a kiss.
What was it? Come time to the recording of the album, we didn't have a drummer for the Insatiable Weakness, and we're like, what the fuck do we do? And I'm like, I just went for the balls, just moved and hit up Dirk. I'm like, Dirk,
go big.
Can you record an album for us? And like, yes, I can. And he did. He totally fucking did. And ever since then, like we've been really close friends because we made an album together and all that shit.
We share a lot of the same interests too. Like
Yeah.
When Soilwork came down, I don't remember if it was before the Insatiable Weakness when we just had an EP, but Dirk really liked our first EP that we did with Bjorn. So when we saw him the very next time when we opened for Soilwork in Corpus Christi, I was gonna give him the CD, like, oh, check us out. He's like, no, I'll buy it from you guys.
Yes, he did.
Okay, well, no, I'll give it to you.
That's so cool because he understands. He empathizes. He understands that bands are out there surviving on CD sales, T-shirt sales.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing. That empathy is a beautiful thing.
It really is. That is something that everyone should have, and if they don't, get to fucking know it.
Yeah.
They don't fucking understand.
Be humble, man.
Be humble.
Like,
and look at him. And I've said this countless times. Those people who harbor humility, who harbor goodwill, those are the people that the most magnificent things happen for them in their lives. Look at him now. Traveling the world, playing stadiums with fucking Dave Mustaine. Jesus H. Christ. Now, let's talk about small victories. And Jesse, you have been endorsed by ESP Guitars for quite some time. ESP, one of the greatest guitar companies in this world. Let's talk a little bit about, we have to talk about guitars because I have guitar freaks who watch this show. Share a little bit about what you're playing now. And this guy too, man, he's a shredder. So what's going on the guitar front for all those people who play guitar?
oh man, I am endorsed by ESP Guitars, and whenever I gig with Fall, I usually use my SN1000 model. It's like a Strat, but it's an LTD version.
I've seen it.
It's an LTD version of a Strat.
It's like a white pick.
Yes, it's a fucking killer guitar, and it.
Why do you love that guitar? I mean, obviously it's not because how it looks. Why do you love the guitar? Because I'd rather see you playing the V, the offset V, but you're saying like, oh, I love that guitar. Like, what is it? Is it the tone? Is it how it fits you? What is it?
I feel it fits like what Fall does now, because Fall like transitions from the soft to the erratic, and I think that guitar, like it I can do that on it. Instead of a guitar that has just one pickup and just one knob.
On there, don't you? Like has a few single coils.
Yeah, it's a 5-way with the humbucker and 2 single coils. So it's a very versatile guitar.
Yeah.
You know? So
able to get the nice clean tones live.
it can do everything that I want it to do, as opposed to a guitar that has just one pickup and one volume knob. And all that shit, you know?
It's a metal guitar that looks like a rock guitar.
Yeah. It's great.
But you still play the V. The Vs.
It was Shatterson, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, great. ESP, one of the greatest guitar companies out there in the world.
Yes, they are.
So glad that you're still with them, and glad that you're still working with them. You too?
Yes.
Oh, I am not with ESP, but hello
You aspire to
ESP.
be.
I have one, just as a part of my collection. So they're badass guitars.
What
man.
is it?
I have a Kiko model. So for those of you guitar freaks out there, Kiko, who's now the guitarist of Megadeth, he was with ESP for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so like I remember when he came out with that.
It's a small
Yeah,
circle.
when he came out with that guitar, I was like, "Whoa, shit!" It was awesome. So
that is a
to have
guitar.
that as my collection is like a relic that I'll never get rid of. It's just there. It's awesome.
He's a gear freak. It
Yes.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time gear freak.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here tonight. We've covered a lot of ground. As we end out, any last words, anything that I missed, anything that we should have talked about with regards to the band Fall?
I say earlier on in the interview we talked about musicians from Corpus, and is there any good musicians in Corpus? So I guess you can say with this, what we have now, if you didn't know that there was good musicians in Corpus, then you know now. Then anybody knows now. So us three here.
Always been, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my take on everything.
That's why you're here on Robbs.
I just want to give a really big thanks to Clawhammer PR
Yeah.
for setting up this interview with us and making this happen. This is the only in-person interview that we had for the Dream Eater Tragedy. So thank you for checking it out, and thank you for listening. Keep it metal. All right?
I'll say this. Come check out our live shows. We have a couple in January and as well in February, which we didn't mention. We're going to be opening for the legendary, the one and only Tony McAlpine.
That's the January 5th show.
That one's in February, so
What is the January 5th show? The headline show?
Yes, our headline show, yes.
Okay, so everybody, don't forget the January 5th headline show at the House of Rock in Corpus Christi. Be sure to go out there and check it out.
for sure. We'll hope to see you at the live shows. We got lots of cool new merch. Come check out the new EP and say hi to us. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys out there.
Will you guys have hard copies of the CD?
The CP, The Dream of Tragedy, is going to be sold solely digital
Okay.
until, of course, we can make the actual copies of it. Yeah.
Coming soon.
There are some there just are some fans out there who just want something tangible in their hands.
One of those. I'm totally one of those fans. But it's just
It'd be cool to even have it on vinyl.
It's just yeah, I know. One day we'll have it on vinyl.
Maybe somebody will see this.
But
and try to,
but for now it'll be on like Spotify, iTunes, and Bandcamp.
Yes, for now. Thank you so much for coming over and being part of our show. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Everybody out there, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here tonight. Everyone, you saw the band Fall right here on the big program. The brand new one is called The Dreamer of Tragedy. After you watch this, go download it on your music outlets. 4 songs of a beautiful metallic brutality from Texas. You saw the band only right here on Robbs.